Poor people who have dated rich people, what did you learn? They don't really have a concept of how rich they are. My ex-boyfriend was wealthy, but had a complex about how he was super poor. It was because all of his friends were also so wealthy, and he was maybe marginally less rich than some of them. He considered himself on the lower end of the scale. They don't really have a point of reference for how poor some people are. When we were together, I was living on a food budget of £50 a month, and he absolutely could not wrap his head around how a person could spend that little. I lived with a horrendously rich friend. His family are aristocracy in his home country. One thing Ivy noticed about him is that he's completely incapable of grasping that if I stop working, I just stop being able to eat. He was confused about why I was worried about taking a week off work, and didn't understand I was worried I'd lose money. He seemed to think that most people work because they choose to, because he's never had to work. My ex was having problems with roommates at university. Her parents bought a condo for her to stay while she finished her degree 2 years. They sold it for a profit immediately after. I can't imagine not only being able to solve me problems with money, let alone make more off of them. She also assumed her family was lower middle class because she didn't live in a mansion like her friends. She was very humble and was smart with her money, but it was very clear she could just call her parents if something didn't work out. Meanwhile, my parents were struggling to pay rent, meaning I was their fallback. Not the other way around. Dated a man who didn't work, lived off of a trust fund. Oddly, since he could afford nearly anything, nothing had any value. He'd buy a KitchenAid mixer and burn it up making Christmas candy the first week. If he decided to make more candy, he'd just go buy another mixer. Nothing meant particularly anything to him. I only went on one date with him. He booked out the entire bowling alley so we'd have privacy for our date. It just seemed so shockingly wasteful to me, and it was bizarre to have a 20-lane bowling alley just to the two of us plus a fair-sized staff, who were left with nothing to do but look after so. Who were him? So, review to review both you I learned I am very uncomfortable with that level of casual assumption that the world will rearrange itself to suit me whims. Also, he had absolutely no respect for personal space. I don't think he was used to women not liking to be touched by folks they barely knew.